Right, so welcome back. And of course, we'll also take you live to the Bank of Ghana, where the governor is addressing a news conference, or we're taking questions, especially on the Cedi that's doing so much well on the international market, now trading at below 11 Ghana Cedi. The governor is now speaking. Dr. Siama, let me now cross over to the Bank of Ghana now.
Increased by 2.3% year on year in March 2025, compared with 1.0% over the the 50 benchmark as output and new orders increased, signaling improved growth prospects. Based on easing inflationary pressures and optimism about macroeconomic conditions, the latest confidence surveys showed significant improvement in consumer and business indices, the highest in the last 7 years. Headline inflation has declined consecutively in the first 4 months of the year by 2.6 percentage points to 21.2% in April 2025, and this was driven by both food and non-food inflation. A confluence of factors, including tight monetary policy stance, stepped up liquidity sterilization efforts, downward revisions in ex-pump petroleum prices, and exchange rate stability have supported the gradual decline in inflation. The bank's core inflation measure, which includes energy and utility prices, as well as inflation expectations of consumers, businesses, and the banking sector, point to easing inflationary pressures. Fiscal policy implementation so far has been broadly aligned with the 2025 budget. In the first quarter of 2025, provisional data on budget execution indicated that although revenues fell below target, some expenditure rationalization took place to accommodate the revenue shortfall. The primary fiscal balance, and that is on commitment basis, has also improved in the first quarter. At the end of March 2025, the stock of public debt stood at 769.4 billion Ghana cedis, which constituted 55.0% of GDP, compared with 726.7 billion Ghana cedis, which constituted 61.8% of GDP at end December 2024. Continued maintenance of a strict fiscal consolidation for the 2025 fiscal year will further strengthen the ongoing recovery process and firm up macroeconomic stability. On the external sector, the sector has continued to improve, with a record provisional current account surplus of 2.1 billion in the first quarter of 2025, and this was driven mainly by higher prices and increased production volumes of gold and cocoa and strong remittance inflows. The current account surplus, together with net outflows in the capital and financial account, resulted in an overall balance of payments surplus of $1.1 billion. The strong external performance resulted in significant reserve accumulation. Gross international reserves amounted to $10.7 billion in April 2025, and this was equivalent to 4.7 months of imports of goods and services. Broadly, the external sector outlook remains favorable, largely anchored on expectations of increased gold and cocoa export receipts, as well as inflows from remittances. On the local currency, the Cedi has rebounded strongly against the major trading currencies, and this was driven by a combination of factors. And this includes tight monetary policy stance, ongoing fiscal consolidation, record reserve accumulation, strict enforcement of foreign exchange market rules, and improved market sentiments. In the year to May 21st, 2025, the Cedi had appreciated against all the major currencies, and that was 24.1% against the US dollar, 16.2% against the British pound, and 14.1% against the euro. The latest forecast points to continued easing of inflationary pressures on the back of tight monetary policy stance, exchange rate stability, and fiscal consolidation. Inflation is expected to ease faster towards the medium-term target in the first quarter of next year, that is 2026, as opposed to the second quarter as earlier envisaged, and this is barring unanticipated shocks. Despite these positive developments, the committee observed that the current level of inflation remains high relative to the medium-term target and will require maintaining decision maintained the policy rate at 28.0%. On the additional policy measure that was taken by the committee decided to amend the dynamic cash reserve ratio that exists currently as follows. The CRR, or the dynamic cash reserve ratio, for all banks will now be maintained in their respective currencies. This means that foreign currency reserves for foreign currency deposits, and the same way domestic currency reserves for domestic currency deposits. This policy measure will become effective on June 5, 2025. For an informational note, the next Monetary Policy Committee meeting is scheduled to start on Wednesday, July 21st, 2025, and will conclude on Friday, July 25, 2025, with the announcement of the policy decision, the next by the Monetary Policy Committee. I thank you very much.
Governor. Thank you, Governor Dr. Esiama. As we always do, we go around and take questions from you. But before that, let me say that the submissions of members of the MPC will be published on Tuesday, May 27th. I would also want to inform you that we have all the MPC members here at this meeting. And I'll just introduce our two external members, Professor Joshua Abo and Professor. We also have with us in this meeting the advisors of Bank of Ghana. So we'll have the first round of questions, and not more than 4 questions. Kindly mention your name and the media house that you represent. Make your questions snappy and straight to the point.
Thank you very much, Governor. My name is Lord Nati. I write for 3news.com. Governor, my question has to do with the appreciation of the Cedi. Now, we've all seen the numbers, and we can attest to the fact that the Cedi is gaining stability. But now the issue is that consumers are expecting to see the stability reflect on the market and in terms of prices. And we do know that as the Bank of Ghana, one of your core functions is to ensure price stability, to formulate policies to ensure price stability. So then the key question is that when are we going to see the drop or the appreciation of the Cedi reflect on the market in terms of prices? Thank you.
You, Lord. Yes, Toma.
My name is Toma Imiri from the Corporate Guardian magazine. Governor, please, what is your tentative target for building our foreign international reserves? Now we're over 10 billion. Is there any target you have beyond which you will not be seeking to increase reserves, but using the forest for other things like buffers against debt repayments, which are falling due from June?
Justice.
Very much. The name is Justice Lee Adoboy. I report for the Shinwa News Agency. Now, so my question is in line with, similar to what Toma asked. So for where we are now, we know that in about some 18 months, we would have to begin to service some of our debt. So what are we doing such that, measures are we putting in place such that our reserves at the time we start this will not be too much, so that we can still maintain our stability when it comes to our reserves? Thank you.
Yes, please go ahead.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Naja Gliago with GBC Radio. Mine is a follow-up to what Lord Nati of 3 News asked. Aside from how sustainable is this appreciation process going to be? Providing the measures you've taken so far, are there other measures that you have in your books that you haven't introduced yet, that you'll be bringing it out? Should we see some changes going forward? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Na. And on that note, I defer to Mr. Governor. Thank you.
So this one first. Appreciation of the Cedi. When can this reflect in prices? Usually, price behavior, it tends to be sluggish, and you can understand that some people stock their goods at a higher exchange rate, and so naturally, even with the appreciation, it takes a while, for you to see that adjustment. However, rest assured, you will see the adjustment certainly. So long as there's competition, so long as it's not a monopoly, we will see that kind of phenomenon very soon. Second one, what is the tentative target from our NIR? So if talking about a target, it's rather a floor. Usually the 3 months of imports cover, that is by way of target that we monitor. It's desirable that you have a minimum 3 months of imports cover at all times. Currently, we are way above that. Is it excessive? Not at the moment. What we have now is just adequate. It's more than adequate. It's just, at levels that we are comfortable with. It ensures our external resilience. It ensures that even if in the future we have any shocks confronting the country, we are able to act. We will have the necessary tools to protect the economy. And so we don't have an upper target per se. What we have is a lower, a sort of floor below which it won't be desirable to have your international reserves fall. Then the next one by Mr. Adobwe, you are worried about whether we have enough to pay our debts. So you must remember that we are already paying those debts. It's not going to start only in the next 18 months. We are already paying our debts. And what we do is that we have a cash flow. We have a sense of accrue going into the medium term. We have these programmed, and it is something we monitor. And so have no fears at all. We have it all figured up. It's not only the debt repayments that will come up. We have dividend payments. We have, all sorts of international payments that have to be executed. And we have all of them programmed. And we think that the level of international reserves we have now is pretty adequate. Then there was the fourth one on whether we can sustain the Cedi appreciation. So the Cedi appreciation has to be put into proper context. Much as you want to have Cedi stability in nominal terms, the important thing here is to ensure that in real terms, the Cedi is not appreciating persistently in real terms. And so the committee, and that is the MPC, they went into a lot of deliberation looking at the real movement of the exchange rate. And we think that where we are now, we don't have that problem of real appreciation that will impact adversely on our competitiveness. And so for now, we think that the trend is in line. We are observing it continuously though. But the appreciation is largely driven by the market. It's not something that the central bank is using its reserves. If you look at the data pack that we have put out, it was put out yesterday on our website, you can see that our reserve program is growing, is going up. So we are not using our reserves to intervene in the market, and therefore the appreciation you are seeing is driven by the international flows, that remittances, cocoa, gold, and the likes. If you look at the external sector performance, the current account is in surplus, trade balance is doing so well. These are the factors that are driving movement in the exchange rate. So yes, it's appreciation. However, for us, it's about maintaining exchange rate stability. Remember, the exchange rate is an endogenous variable, as we always say. It has to fluctuate, right? And what we have is a managed floating regime. It has to move. So you may see it go down, you may see it go up. The important thing is that the swings are not excessive. So that is how we look at it for now. It is in our interest to ensure exchange rate stability going forward. Appreciation in real terms that will be persistent, which could be injurious for our competitiveness at all. So I think these are the 4 questions I've picked up so far. Right.
Thank you very much, Chairman Governor. Before we take the next round of questions, I would like to introduce to you formally Mrs. Matilda Asante-Siedu, and our second Deputy Governor. This is her first MPC press briefing, and at the March press park, you saw that space was blank. And we filled it, and no one asked questions. I thought that was going to be the first question. So, Mrs. Matilda Asante-Siedu, this is the media that you'll be working with, and most welcome to the May MPC meeting, and also as the second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana. Thank you. So we go round for the next round of questions, as usual, straight with brevity, 4 questions, and we move on. Thank you.
Hi. Okay. Hi. Good evening, Governor. Welcome, Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Mrs. Matilda Asante-Siedu. Good to see you. Mr. Governor, you mentioned that you don't really have a target for...
Sorry, kindly mention your name.
Oh, sorry. My name is Nano Yankra. I report for Asase Radio. You mentioned that you don't really have a target for the Cedi, but the first half of the year will be ending very soon. And so I want to believe that as a bank, you at least look at a figure. The movement of the Cedi has now turned most Ghanaians into economists, and some are predicting that we are going to go below 10 cedis by the end of June. So I want to ask you, is there a figure you are looking at by end of June this year?
Okay, we'll take a few more.
My name is Norvan Akwahifort. I write for Norvan Report. Mr. Governor, given the current tight monetary stance, how is the bank assessing the trade-off between price stability and the private sector credit growth, especially when the real sector remains, or the real sector, I would say, recovery remains fragile and access to credit is constrained?
Yeah, my name is George Yaffe from Joy FM. Doc, I just want to find out, I don't know which of the data the committee looked at when it came to the bid about bid, but some have argued that looking at the way things are going, utility tariffs maybe could go down, transport fares are going to go down by 15%. There are some who have argued that looking at the way things are going, it is likely that we may hit a single-digit target even before the close of this year. What is the committee saying about this as well? And also, I wanted to find out from you, if you go through the data pack, you realize that the debt stock had really jumped. The Treasury Bills Borrowing Award. Just some clarity on that. Thank you so much.
Hi, Governor. My name is Neil Ati, CTFM Channel 1 TV. I'm quite interested in knowing what the bank's plans are when it comes to charges from mobile money, account to bank account and vice versa. One would have expected that when the e-levy was removed, some of these things will be catered for. I'm asking because you realize that between March and April, when the e-levy was removed, total deposits at banks have actually reduced from 294 billion to some 289 billion. In the bank's own assessment, what is accounting for this, and what is the bank's plan when it comes to charges between mobile money wallets, bank accounts, and vice versa? Thank you.
Okay. So my name is Adnan Adams. My first question.
Sorry, can you?
It ties to the e-levy, the transactions, the bank transactions charges. So it just ties through. So I just want to. Okay. All right. Economic Times.
Okay.
All right. The Ghana Association of Bankers, is predicting that e-levy may be reintroduced. Looking at the volume of digital money transfers that's currently ongoing globally. So from policy perspective, and then as the regulator also of these banks, commercial banks, would you also kind of maybe give us some insight into as to whether if we should expect reintroduction of e-levy? Then secondly, just to also on the good for reserves issue, and then they're good for oil. Just wanted to know how the good for oil really impacted the current. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor.
So again, if I can start with a question from Asasi Radio. Is there any figure for the Cedi, right? By end June, whether we have a target? No, we don't have a target. And I just explained it. I explained it that the Cedi is an endogenous variable, right? And as much as we don't want it to be, depreciating excessively, we don't keep a target to which we expect it to get to. We are aware of speculations, figures, but you see that you haven't heard any such target that is communicated by the central bank. No. All we can say is we will ensure that volatilities are not excessive. We are observing trends in the nominal movements of the Cedi. Remember, it goes hand in hand with the rate of inflation. And so I made mention of the word real exchange rate or real effective exchange rate. That is what is important in this whole game. That is where our focus is. The committee, looked into the movements in the real effective exchange rate, and as at now, where we are now, we don't think that there is a persistent real appreciation that will be causing us problems in terms of competitiveness. And so, rest assured, where we are now, we are observing things. However, we haven't gotten to that stage. When we get to that stage, the committee will take the appropriate decision. Then there was a question about price stability and private sector credit growth. I do not get it, too clear. But I want to believe you want to understand our role when it comes to price stability and private sector credit growth. Yes. Price stability is part of our mandate, and we look at that very, very judiciously. The committee did a lot of deliberation in that area. Remember, we look at the outlook for inflation, and we think that where we are now, we are on course to attain our outlook, end-of-year outlook. We are looking at around 12%. We think that we are on course to meet that, and by the end of the first quarter next year, we believe that we should be able to get back into our target band. I hope you are aware of our target band, 8 plus or minus 2%. That's what we are working towards. We believe that we can attain that target band even before the timeline we gave at the last MPC round. Now, the committee looked at the issue of private sector credit, as well. It is recovering. Growth is quite strong. And one of the things that we were happy to look at was the reference rate, which is computed by the Ghana Association of Banks. You will notice, and I believe it's in the data pack somewhere, you observe that the measure of their reference rate has come down significantly. It is in our interest to ensure that the lending rates, in Ghana do come down. And so going forward, we expect to see some movement, some decline in the lending rate. That is a key way to support the private sector. And of course, trends in the local currency will also support private sector growth and therefore overall growth in the economy. So rest assured, we are on course. We believe that there will be a rebound, strong rebound for the private sector as the macroeconomic stability becomes entrenched. And then there was a question on inflation for end December, right? It's around 12%. We are looking at around 12%, actually around 11.9%, roughly 12%. Then there was a question on debt, on our debt stock. George, would you be able to repeat the question?
Governor, I was saying that if you look at from December, end of December to March, there was a spike, I think if my numbers were right, about 42.7 billion cedis. And I was just asking that what was the contributing factor when overall we thought that government was not borrowing, just even though through the treasury bill market. And so what was the...
This is total debt stock
yes,
or
please.
Domestic debt stock?
Total debt stock.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that you are quoting the figure from the
end December pack to end March, please.
Right. We could refer to the data pack to see what you are referring to. But these are figures from the fiscal authorities. These are figures computed by the Ministry of Finance. However, we could have a one-on-one on that conversation. I want to be specific, so let's have a one-on-one on that after the press conference. Then there was something about digital money transfer, introduction of e-levy. Again, it's the fiscal authorities that handle that. So Minister of Finance is best placed to answer questions about e-levy. Although we do, expect that the removal of e-levy will support, the innovation. It will support financial inclusion. It's a positive move to do something about e-levy, and we support that measure. Then you also mentioned the Gold for Oil program, which was implemented some time ago. You remember that at the last MPC press briefing, I made the point that we were reviewing our participation in the Gold for Oil program. Yes, indeed, we have reviewed that. The Ministry of Energy has set up a committee to look at the way forward as far as the Gold for Oil program is concerned. That committee is yet to come out with their findings. And so for now, what I can tell you is that the Gold for Oil program, as far as our participation was concerned, has been reviewed. However, the form and going forward that it will take will be communicated by the Minister of Energy, and I'm sure that will be done very soon. I believe that is all the questions. Did I meet one?
Yes, please. The other one was with charges on mobile money accounts. Apparently, is still.
Right, so that's the governor of the central bank, Dr. Siama, on the Monetary Policy Committee news briefing. And some of the key highlights. Our international reserve now stands at 7 months of import cover. The Cedi, as of now, has appreciated 21% against the US dollar, 16% against the British pound sterling, and 14% against the euro. And he's optimistic that the gains will continue at least from now to the end of the year, and hoping that by the end of the year or in the first quarter of next year, we'll have a single-digit inflation. Remember, the pulse is always brought to you by Different Drill Cough Expectorant. It clears chest congestion, smoothes cough, and fight the common cold, helping you breathe easy and feel better. Different Drill is also available at all pharmaceuticals and OTCs across Ghana, but not recommended for children under 6 years old. For back purchase, though, visit the Rapid Improvement Pharmaceutical on the Spinters Road next to the Royal House Chapel, or better still, give them a call on 053-666-1432. That's 053-666-1432. Different Drill, breathe easy, feel better. Folks, there's more stories on myjoyonline.com. Of course, Cedi gained 24% to dollar in May 2025. New taxes could collapse the mining sector, that's according to the Chamber of Mines, plus other interesting and exciting stories on myjoyonline.com. And it's really been exciting having you here on the pulse all week. We are ending it, but we are back on Monday with another exciting edition throughout the week. I appreciate your comments, your contributions, your criticism as well. It only seeks to make us better. Until next week, whatever you are up to, this weekend I hope is profitable. My name is Elton Bobe. Have a good evening.